Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sree's daily global COVID-19 show. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and it's my honor to convene this daily conversation around various aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're doing a series we call the Stony Brook Journalism episodes, where several students from Stony Brook School of Journalism are producing episodes of the show as part of our Digital Innovations in Journalism course. This episode is produced by Kiara, Arias, Gabriella, Santana, and Tania, Taheri. Please stay tuned to meet Kiara and Gabby, who will be helping me host this show. This is a special episode, episode 220 in 220 days, and our topic, Latinx Representation. And we have two great guests who are with us, Dave Ortiz, who's a personal tailor and fashion designer, and Rosa Rodriguez, who's a financial analyst and business coach and founder of She Who Rises. And you will meet both of them in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. I'm Sree. Thank you so much for being here. I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism and the co-founder of Digimentors, a social, digital, and virtual events company. We love talking about virtual events, so if you'd like to help you plan your event, please talk to us and email me. My email address is right here, sree@sree.net. If you've never seen the show, in our first 215 episodes, we've had more than 1 million viewers, 156 million social impressions, 386 guests, 228 of them have been women, from 68 cities in 20 countries, including the chief scientist of the World Health Organization. You can find our archives on youtube.com/Sreenet, and we're in partnership with Scroll Global and Scroll.in. We're able to do this because of our fabulous producers, Rose Horowitz at Rose Horowitz 31, and Vandana Menon, Vandana_Menon. Please follow them. And a big thanks to our sponsors for making all of this possible. So we are right now live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. Please hit share right now, retweet us, or tag a friend. And your friends can then watch this live or later. We'll be on replay on all these platforms as soon as we're off the air. So please share right now, like our guests have been doing, so that your family and friends can learn about this important topic of Latinx representation. So let's bring on stage first, our two student co-hosts, Kiara and Gabby, who are just going to say hello, and then we'll bring on David and Rosa, who are busy sharing right now to get the word out. So let me say hi to our two students. Hello, how are you?
Hi, hello, how are you doing?
Thank you for being here. This is very different from class. When we meet in class, often the students have their cameras turned off, so it's nice to see both of you with the cameras on. And tell us about this topic and why you decided to focus on this. So Gabby, we'll start with you.
Well, in regards to, with it being Hispanic Heritage Month, I feel like it's really important to kind of have these conversations about Latinx representation in like mass media. And I feel like there's a lot that goes into it that specifically someone like me with my background and stuff like that, where I just feel very much passionate on these issues. And I feel like there's not as much conversation as there should be. So I'm just really excited to meet these guests and be able to like use this platform to really delve into these type of topics. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's why we do them, so that we can get great representation in the topics that we're covering. Kiara, your thoughts?
Right.
Yeah, so to build off of what Gabby said, I think representation is incredibly important as it sort of shapes our perspectives on one another, especially when we have limited interactions with people of different groups of people. So we really wanted to touch on the Latinx experience in particular because it is Hispanic Heritage Month. So we wanted to honor that by having a space for that conversation for tonight.
Excellent. So why don't each of you tell us about David and Rosa? Why don't we start first about David?
Sure. So Dave is a personal tailor and fashion designer, and Lizette works as a financial analyst. As well as that, though, she is a business coach and founder of She Who Rises. So she helps other Latina coaches learn how to monetize and grow their online businesses through digital marketing.
Awesome. So let me say hello to both of them. I'm putting them on camera right now. And they're ready, and here we go. Hello, folks.
Hi, how are you guys?
Thank you so much for being here. My first question always is, how are you, where are you, and how's your family handling the pandemic? Rosa, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Dave.
I am doing great. I actually live in West Haven, Connecticut, and I am doing really well. I am working from home, and my family's doing well. I have two boys. They're thankfully they have been safe throughout this whole pandemic. So I've been lucky enough to be working for a company that has allowed me to still, stay at home and work from home and take care of my kids at the same time.
So that's so important, and that's great. Let's go to Dave.
Yeah, I'm doing well myself. I'm currently home at the moment. Everyone is doing well. We're all home right now, so yeah, if you hear any noise, it's most likely the family. So,
and tell us where home is.
Staten Island, New York, by the way. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So we've got the Northeast representing very well here, and I'm going to hand you over to our fabulous students who are going to ask you a whole bunch of tough questions, and then I'll come back on in a little bit. All right. So over to you, Kiara.
All right. So to sort of, introduce the both of you, we sort of want to talk about what inspired you to get into your respective careers. So, Dave, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. So growing up, I think I've always had a certain love for fashion or design in a sense, but never really sought after it as a career until about college when I made a decision to switch majors and take my focus on graphic design. So I ended up starting with graphic design and ventured off on my own as a personal tailor, just kind of customizing my own clothes. And then it led to some jobs, and I found myself working as a personal tailor for a lot of celebrity clients and just a lot of designers as a freelancer.
Okay, that's great. And Rosa, definitely.
Well, I actually started out as an accountant. So I have an accounting degree. My dad used to own his own bodega, and the family, they're all entrepreneurs. I felt like, in the Latin community, you have to have something that is either, your parents recognize, okay, what are you going to be, a doctor or, a lawyer or an accountant? One of those three. If not, I don't know what else can you be, right? But I went into accounting, and I started in corporate America, and started with smaller companies, and then went on to a larger corporation, which that's where I'm working right now. And on the side, after my dad passed away, I wanted to start helping women and helping women in my community. And with the knowledge that I had from corporate America and with the accounting knowledge that I had, I wanted to create something that would help women that looked like me to actually create their own thing. So I created She Who Rises, and this is what I am doing now, and kind of coaching women to create their own businesses, just like I have done. So.
No, that's great. That's amazing that you're using, your previous skill set to create a completely new, business for yourself. So that's great. You are really cool people. So we're going to have both of you here tonight. So Gabby, do you want to take on the next question?
Yeah, I could take the next question. So essentially, based on what you guys expressed, I'm curious, like growing up, what image of Latinos did you primarily see on like TV or like music or just like mass media as a whole?
I can go. I can go first.
Whoever.
I think I grew up in the Dominican Republic, actually, so it might have been a little bit different than David's experience, but I just grew up seeing novelas, telenovelas, which is like mostly Mexican telenovelas, and seeing all these beautiful Mexican women. But on the American side, I would see, just all of these white American actresses on TV, and I wanted to be like them. I was like, maybe acting could be for me. No. But thank God I didn't go into that. But I really used to see, either the Mexican telenovelas, or on the other side, it would be like the Hollywood actresses that were none of them looked like me. So that was who I saw. So you go ahead, David.
Oh yeah, I'm no stranger to novellas. My grandmother played those all day while we were in the house. And I actually grew up in Spanish Harlem on the Upper East Side, and that was kind of like my first experience, like the barrio and a bunch of different communities, a bunch of different Spanish communities, and really seeing a diverse group of people and a diverse group of languages. And it was a fun experience in the beginning, and then you get all types of New Yorkers, so it's not just the good. But my experience there was mostly seeing those novellas and early childhood memories like Dora the Explorer and other sorts of like Latino representation in television. It was slim, but it was definitely fun and interesting, and kind of molded my childhood. So.
So I'm curious to know if any aspect of how you grew up, especially like you're from Dominican Republic, you grew up in Spanish Harlem, did any of that impact your career choices?
I would say that for me, at least, like I said, from my dad having a bodega, like that was his business. So me wanting to kind of follow those steps, and I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to have my own thing and have the freedom. And he would always help me, put me down like, okay, you're going to do my bookkeeping since I was like 8 years old. So I would take a little notebook and start putting down the numbers. And that was like my first accounting experience. So, being able to go to school and go to college, and like an opportunity that he didn't have, I wanted to kind of like say I was able to do this, and I was able to go through the 4 years of college and go and get an accounting degree. So that kind of that was what put me in this path.
So I don't know, Dave, if you wanted to touch on that a little bit.
For that was just the beginning. So because I got into accounting wanting to reach the American dream. But then I went to school in the city, and I was just I met so many different people, such a diverse group of people. And that kind of, it was the whole experience, not just the knowledge that I gained, but just the experience that got me into like, maybe I want to do more with what I have, and I wanted to help other people. So I think that's what got me then into the path of She Who Rises after this. So being able to get into corporate America, and then go through the different roles there, it felt like it was the same thing. And then I was looking for a little bit more. And that's when I said, okay, I wanted to create She Who Rises after that. So go ahead, David.
I think my sort of upbringing in Spanish Harlem, and kind of just my roots with family ties, a lot of people looked up to, celebrities or people of influence, people with certain status. And growing up, I always kind of wanted to be a rapper, I guess. And I was never really the best at it. But what I did end up catching on to was a lot of the trends that they wore, and, the way that they dressed and the way that they looked. And that really influenced a lot of my own style, and how I kind of developed my own sort of panache and my own swagger that I ended up manifesting into clothing that I've made within the last couple of years.
So based on everything that you guys just expressed and had to say, I'm curious, like, what stereotypes have you encountered, if any, like amongst your career choices, or like in school, or just in daily life?
I can tell you a little bit of the things that I've experienced in corporate America. I have, I think for, let's say this was probably my third job and I had moved down to Connecticut because I had started working. My first couple of jobs were in New York, and then I had moved back to Connecticut, and I was in a company that had been growing, and I kind of it was a startup company, and I had been in the company for the amount of time that the company had been open. So the company grew over the years, and I had been with that company for the entire time. And when it got to the time where I could have been promoted to, let's say, a supervisor level or a manager level, I saw that opportunity kind of taken from me just by a male counterpart that obviously didn't look like me and had much less experience than I did at that time. So I felt very disappointed for at that moment, because I felt like I had been with this company from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I when it was my time to get that promotion, then all of a sudden I see the other guy take that from me, even though he had much less time in the company. He had been there for maybe a year, and I had been there for 5 years. And I felt like I had much more experience with everyone in the company and had been in that role for a lot longer time. So that was one of the things. And there's a few others that I can tell you, but you can go ahead.
Like you have to work twice as hard to get half as far when you are a minority, and whatever minority that is, racial minority, when it comes to gender, different things like that. So I completely understand that. So, Dave, do you have any experience? Yeah, okay, go for it.
I understand. I understand what you've gone through, and I think I've seen it happen many times in my industry also. On top of that, my own personal experience. I mean, just working in the fashion industry, it's a superficial industry. It's all about materialism. You have to kind of hold yourself a certain way. There's a certain way that people look at you. If you're not in style, or if you're not up to date with certain things, and it's funny because they try to be diverse, or they try to be inclusive, but the people who are like still behind the scenes pulling the strings are pretty one-dimensional. And it's sad because the majority of the people who are within that industry have either grown up with money or come from wealth, and they're more privy to opportunities than some people who don't have those same benefits, and they're still also the same people who are consumers. So it's I've seen it firsthand, and I've experienced some of it into a certain extent where I feel that I may have to carry myself a certain way, or I might have to speak a certain way when I talk to particular people. And it is an uncomfortable situation. It's kind of part of the game in a sense, but it's something that we need to speak about so that we can level the playing field.
So you sort of spoke about how the fashion industry is a superficial industry, and how looks really matter, and how they sort of try to appear diverse but aren't really. So I want to know, in your opinion, this question is for the both of you, how important is diversity and inclusion within your industry?
It's very important. I've been fortunate enough to work with people who have been of diverse backgrounds and ethnicities, and currently I'm working for a person who has only people of different ethnicities working under him, and for that simple fact. And it's not necessarily a slight to any other culture or any other race, but it's more to bring awareness to the situation. And I've been very fortunate to kind of work with a very diverse group of people lately, and the space is a lot more interesting that way too. It's a lot more dialogue and conversation that fuels creativity, that fuels our passion and drive.
And for me, on my end, I think that with She Who Rises and the social media, the digital marketing world, I think it's very important to have diversity. And I haven't seen many Latin women kind of creating the same or at the place where I want to be. So I want to create more of that, and I think that's why I am doing what I'm doing with She Who Rises, trying to empower more women to go to take this path and to know that they can get there and they can make it, just like all the other women that are making it, and all the women that are making a living by doing digital marketing and things like that on social media. So I think it's very important in this space, and I'm here to show women that they can do it that they can do it too.
Just like in the theme of, like careers and stuff like that, I'm curious to know, like with either of you guys, how do you approach maybe like situations or spaces in which there's like a white majority? Like, how do you navigate that?
That's a tough question. I think that's a really good question. But I have like I was saying, in my industry, the majority is they're the white majority, and I would say that I have chosen not to become like a victim of that. I have chosen to still be myself and show up as myself, and in every opportunity that I can. So I can choose to say, I can choose to be the victim and try and continue to complain, or I can start to take action towards the things that I want to accomplish. So I think you just have to, in my opinion, I have chosen that, and to continue to show up as myself, no matter what, no matter how the majority is. So I think that's just my opinion.
I really like, sorry, I just want to touch on that. I really like what you said about focusing on what you're able to change about your circumstances.
Yeah.
Sort of like having an internal and external locus of control. So basically, an external locus of control is that, your fate is set in stone and it doesn't matter what you do, you can't change your outcomes. But an internal locus of control is basically saying, the actions I make can decide whatever path I'm going to go on. And I think that's a really important approach that you're taking. And I think more people need to start thinking about what they can do, what actions they can start taking to sort of change their life path.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I have, like I think each of us can decide to make a change by first, working on themselves and working on ourselves, specifically from the inside out, and focusing more on what we can do, and focusing more on what we can do, within ourselves, and work on the things that we can improve. Because a lot of times we kind of like give up the right to make that change by focusing on the external factors. So, like you said, deciding that I am going to work on me, and then everything else is out on the outside is not going to affect me on the inside. So.
Right, I agree. I feel, in my industry, it's important that I hold myself to just being 100% me. I walk into every room as myself. I walk into every room 100% confident with who I am, and know that who I am speaking to, I'm well informed on what I'm speaking about. I never try to sugarcoat things or feel that I have to tailor myself a little bit more to a certain person, although the occasion might call for it. I do feel that there's this internal piece of me that is super confident and comfortable with who I am to speak directly with anyone in any situation, despite the racial ethnicity. but I do feel the tension and sorts of outlying feeling that you get from having to be censored or having to be anything other than yourself. And it's important that we do focus on that ourselves and focus on working on, our own internal problems and things that we can change.
Yeah, I think it's really unfortunate that we feel the need to conform to what the majority feels makes them more comfortable, because we shouldn't have to do that. Realistically, we really shouldn't. We should speak about or say whatever makes us feel comfortable, speak however we feel most true to ourselves. But that being said, what is the biggest challenge you have faced due to your ethnicity or racial background?
To me, I think it is the being like an authority in my field, or being an authority, in on online or digital marketing, or also on the financial side, standing up and saying, hey, I am enough with the knowledge that I have and the things and the experiences that I've been through. At this point, I don't have to prove myself to you to know that I have what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar business, for example. That I don't, I'm not seeking validation, and it feels sometimes like I should be, if I show the things that I've done, and that's how I can get more people to say that I am, this authority in my field. So I think that that has been a challenge, just kind of like saying, well, I am enough. I know I have all this knowledge and all this experience, but at the same time, like having to prove myself. So, you know what I mean? Having to prove myself in the field at the same time. And because of my heritage, because of the way that I look. And not as much as other people have had to prove themselves in this area. So that's my experience.
I agree 100%, and I feel the same way in the sense that, there's a struggle with upward mobility, and I think a lot of industries when it comes to Latin, Latino heritage. And what I've noticed a lot too is that within that you can prove within that hierarchy, you can prove yourself and still be slighted for a position that you might be qualified for. And you would have to prove yourself many times over, and there's still a chance that you're going to get slighted, or you might not get that position that you're more than willing and more than able to manage and take care of. And it's something that needs to be spoken about, something that needs to be changed. And where it starts is through conversation like this.
Yeah, I definitely agree in the vein of like that we need to continue to like promote these types of conversation, to like talk about inclusivity and the issues that like the Latino community face and stuff like that. And even with intersectionality, colorism, like I feel like these are all, necessary and important topics that will help not necessarily like break the ceiling, but will definitely like widen the the area, or like the room for more, I guess, Latinos to really like make a space for themselves in a way. So I'm curious, how do you guys personally feel about like the current state of Latino representation in different forms of mass media?
There's definitely not enough. I feel like we definitely need more. 100%. There needs to be a lot more of it. I'm lucky enough that I've worked with many people of Latino descent and a multicultural background, and I'm privy to understanding that there's more creativity and collaboration, and that there's more that you can get through collaboration than separation, obviously. And Latin culture needs to be expressed more. I think even in the fashion industry, like I said, there's very little, if any. Carolina Herrera, Oscar De La Renta are probably some of the bigger names, and they haven't supported or even given the thought to, Latin culture or Latin people and giving more opportunity for them. And it's kind of sad because I wish that there was a lot more diversity, and it seems like a lot of people are riding off the back of the BLM movement and colorism and certain things of that sort. But when it comes to speaking about Hispanics, it kind of gets pushed to the back or kind of washed over.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I guess my next question, a follow-up question to that for both of you, how do you suggest different forms of media approach more representation for Hispanic individuals? So Rosa, if you want to start with that.
I think that I've seen, online the representation, like David said, there is definitely not enough. But I would start with, having more of these conversations that we're having right now, and the people that are, kind of like I know the BLM movement is making so much progress right now, but I would like to see that also with, join forces with the Latinx community. I think that would be a much powerful movement if we were all kind of like doing this together and creating more of these conversations online, creating more of these conversation in the workplace. Myself and some of my coworkers are starting kind of like a Latinx committee in my company, and we want to have these type of conversations with the people that are in charge in our company, and I think that all of us should request and to raise our voices and have like the courage to just say, hey, I know that we haven't done it this way for a while, but why not listen to the people that are working for you and in your company for so long? Why not hear them out and see what they need and kind of like start that movement in every, as much as we can, in every place that we can. So I think that would be really great.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, only through solidarity, through different groups of people, will you actually begin to see progress, because that there is strength in numbers. So if we get the Latinx community, we get the Black community, we get the Asian, South Asian, and East Asian community to all speak about whatever issues and problems are they're facing, and we can address them in these numbers. Of course, like we'll have.
It would be much stronger.
It would be way more effective. More of us, but
yes,
that's the first step. Just recognizing that, like, my problem is your problem. No one's equal until we're all equal, So
yes,
cliche as that sounds, it's true.
Yes.
Folks, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is such a great conversation, and I just want people watching to look at the screen right now and see the five of us on camera. This is not what you normally see on American television, and that is an important point, and that's why we do these kinds of shows, and we focus on making sure we're as diverse as possible. Let's look at some of the comments that have come in. Doug Levy's watching from Northern California, says, happy Friday. Jonathan's watching from the East Village, next door to Losaida. Paula Kiger is watching from Tallahassee, Florida. Chitachi, who's been a former guest on the show, is here. She was a guest on our July 4th episode, talking about what America means to her, and already it's almost Thanksgiving. That's how fast things are moving. Pradnya is watching from Silver Spring, Maryland. Jake says, good luck, guys. Jake is a classmate of these wonderful students who are doing a great job. Stefan says, hi, everyone. Always wonderful to be here, and equally great to see these Stony Brook students producing the show. Way to go, guys. And Pradnya says, same dynamic in an Indian family as to professional pursuits, about what you should be doing. Rose Horowitz is watching, one of our great producers. Rose Horowitz 31, please follow her. She's also in Connecticut, Rosa. And Ashok is watching from Kerala, India. as is Cherry is watching from India as well. Kayla is watching, loving tonight's show so far. She's got high standards. She says so far, so you guys got to keep it up. Otherwise,
Yeah.
right. Raihani says good luck, and Sean says enjoying this conversation. Nice. And Stefan says, I'm an adjunct professor at FIT, Dave, and just wanted to say hi. Keep doing your thing and keep developing your own style. Much success and happiness to you. Whenever I start to say personal tailor, I end up trying to say personal trainer. So I now will get used to saying personal tailor. I almost did it again. You heard that, right? And my mom's watching from Kerala, India. Hi, Amma, love you. Thank you for being here. Kisle says hello. How are you guys? And Elisha says I love the diversity. So there's certainly people have noticed this as well. We only have a few more minutes left with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where the community, what can the community do to make sure that it is represented. We talk about what others can do to recognize the Latinx community, but what more can the Latinx community do itself? Do you want to start, Dave?
Children, more than anything, the youth, I think, is our future. It's really our future, and I think it's important. I have two younger brothers myself, and I remind them every day of their culture. I remind them every day that they come from royalty and that they are kings themselves. I think there needs to be more promotion of our heritage. There needs to be more spread of it, whether it's through communities, organizations, or just educational sessions like what we're doing here, podcasts of such. Anything that's really going to spread the word and just get more like-minded people together that can support and really back a strong organization or a strong following, something that's really looking to make a change.
Thank you. Rosa, your thoughts?
Same for me. I think education is so important, and being able to have access to information and make all of these conversations more visible to the community. You promote this a little bit more and in our communities so that we can get our voices heard. And I think that's very important. Mentorships with each other. If I have the knowledge, why not share it with others? So I think that each of us can do that for each other. Starting with each of us, we can start sharing this information and helping each other out in this way so that our voices are actually heard. So I think education is probably the most important thing here.
Okay, now I want to ask you about your Insta page. Let's see if we can bring it up and show it on the screen so that you can talk about it. Tell us about why you love Insta so much and what it's done for you.
I started on Instagram back in 2015. After my dad passed, I wanted to create a platform that would reach the type of women that were similar to my ideal customers, which is my ideal people that I wanted to help, right? So I think Instagram had that population, and it was easier as a mom. It was just straight to the point picture or video, and it has helped me develop about 13,000 followers in this space. And I think that every day I push myself to kind of get information, to share information. So I think this is very important. I read a lot of books, and as soon as I learn something new, I try to share it with my people, and I hoping that they can learn from the things that I'm learning, and I think that is I get a fulfillment just from doing that every single day, aside from what I do in my current job, in my day job, right? So I do this during the day, and then after in my free time, then I start sharing information and I start talking to people. I go live and I share I do classes and webinars, and this has helped me grow She Who Rises to where it is right now.
Well, congratulations, and I look forward to learning more. I'm following it. I'm sure guys can follow it too.
Thank you.
He can also learn. Let me ask Dave what his jam is. Which social media?
I kind of use it the same way. I use it really as a sublet, as a portfolio for my work. So you can
And
really.
what's the best address? What's the Instagram handle?
OR_TIZ. So it's just my last name. Really.
OR_TIZ.
Yes.
Okay, terrific.
And
By the way, what's life like to have the name of a famous baseball player?
It's fun. It was fun for a while, got annoying, and now I just embrace it 100%. My own name, more and more every day. So it's an interesting.
Yeah, you own it now, right? Now, especially as he
retires.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go to Kiara and Gabi with a couple of more questions, and then we'll let them get back to their fun Friday nights. I bet all of you have got exciting plans for Friday night.
Well, you can't really do much now. Anyway, next question. So we spoke a little bit about identity in the workplace. How often do you find yourself thinking about your identity in the workplace, especially if you are in a space where there aren't a lot of people who look like you?
I think, go ahead, David.
Yeah, no, I mean, I spoke to it a little bit earlier in the sense of like having, making sure that like I walk into every room as myself, but still feeling the certain friction or uncomfortability of knowing that I am the outcast or I am someone of a different ethnicity, and that I realize that I am the one who sits a little bit further out from the rest. But I still do walk into every room as myself. I speak the way I speak. I don't change anything really about me aside from how I may come across in certain circumstances, but it's all out of professionalism. So I do think about it very often, but I do always keep professionalism at the forward of my actions.
Well, I think she froze, but we can move on to the next question. Oh, are you back?
Are you here?
Rosa, can you hear us?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes. Sorry about that. That was, did I disappear for a second?
No, you froze this time.
Sorry. I think the same. Okay. For me, the same as David. I think it is just showing up as myself and not kind of backing away from certain things just because of the opinion of others in the workplace, or choosing not to be a victim of these things, even though I know that I am a little further away from the table. I do keep on reaching for it. So no matter who it is that I'm speaking to, I speak with confidence, and it has been over the years. It has been a process, obviously. I started off being a little bit shy and kind of shying away from speaking to certain people because of not seeing people that look like me sitting at the table and having the opportunity to sit at the table. But now I feel like my voice needs to be heard, and I need to speak my my truth. I need to speak as myself and be myself all of the time, and then keep showing up that way. Just continue to show up, and then eventually that my voice is heard the way that it needs to be heard.
Yeah, sort of to your point about how at first you may be more reserved and quiet. I think I sort of agree with that. Sometimes you feel imposter syndrome in certain spaces. You're like, oh, I don't know how I got here. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be here, especially when no one looks like you. Like, that doesn't necessarily help. So have either of you ever dealt with imposter syndrome before? Especially like you're both successful, doing well. It would make sense if you have, right? Some people, it happens to everyone.
Yeah, I call it paralysis. That's really what I call it. Overthinking and not making any actions, and that did happen at first. There's definitely that uncomfortability of first speaking up and giving your opinion and giving your thoughts on whatever is at hand, the job at hand, and that's always intimidating at first. But I think it's like once you realize, like, look, I'm here. My opinion is valuable, whether they agree with it or not. It is still valuable, and it's better that I felt that I speak it rather than hold it back for feeling outcasted or feeling some sort of pressure that I don't belong.
Yeah, same for me. I think that in both of in the corporate world and also outside on social media, I have experienced imposter syndrome, and it's sometimes when I want to go for a certain position, and I feel like, hey, I don't see anyone that doing what I want to do, and I kind of hesitate a little bit, but then, like David said, you have to continue to push through those fears and go for it, even though you feel that insecurity, and just fake it till you make it, because you can't really show that insecurity on the people that really don't want to see you up there. So you just keep showing up as confident as you can.
Folks, nice comment here. Chris says, wonderful seeing examples brought in from the outside. Keep up the great work. So as we wind up here, I'm going to ask Gabby and Kiara to ask one more question each, and then we'll wind up here. So Gabby, go ahead. Can you hear me, Gabby? No, maybe not. Kiara, do you want to go?
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I guess I sort of want to speak on, do you feel like you've had any privileges that have allowed you to get to where you are today? I guess I can go to Dave first.
Privileges, I would say probably the biggest privilege that I had in getting to where I am today was networking, really. And it's really about who you know. It really is. A lot of it is who you know. And I was fortunate enough to really network well and have the right connections to get me to where I am. And it's sort of the same thing that I emphasized with spreading the word about Latinx culture and Latinx, the movement itself. And it's all about collaboration. You're gonna grow through numbers, and the more people that you know, the more well connected you are. It'll afford you more opportunities than others. So I find that it's very important to network, and that was probably the biggest privilege, if that is a privilege.
And I think for me, a little bit different, because I think my privilege was that my dad was able to put me through college, and I think that was a privilege to me. And I know a lot of friends or a lot of family members who were not able to have that. So, like they had to figure that out, and then they were left behind and weren't able to get the college degree. And here I am. So, being able to have a bachelor's degree and get a job, and I see others that I graduated that we went through high school together and are not making, not in a corporate job or working in something that is not like, you know what I mean? They didn't get to do the things that I got to do because of that. So I think that was one of the privileges that I had.
Yeah, I definitely,
I'll agree to that also. That was definitely a privilege of mine as well.
Yeah.
The ability to have higher learning.
Yeah.
Folks, before we wrap up, I'm going to come back to each of our speakers, including our students, to give us a final thought each. Before that, while they think of their final thoughts, I'm just going to tell you what's coming up here tomorrow morning on this show. So tomorrow we are live at 9 a.m. Eastern instead of 9 p.m. So 9 a.m. Eastern is Women of Color Leading the Way. And we have two awesome authors with us. Bonita C. Stewart is the senior-most African-American woman at Google, and she's the VP of Global Partnerships. She'll be with us. And Jacqueline Adams, communication strategist and Emmy-winning former CBS News correspondent. They've got a new book out called Women of Color Teaming Up to Lead, Empower, and Thrive. And the book is called A Blessing. And you may know that a group of unicorns is called a blessing. So they're talking about being special and different in the workplace. So please join us at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You'll learn a lot. This book is just out and has gotten great reviews. That's at 9 a.m. Eastern. And our friend Stefan Kaplan, who had shared a comment earlier, will be with us for his special episode of Spin It Social Hour, talking photography and social media. And this is called La Frontera, Artists at the US-Mexico Border. And these are photographers who will be talking from across the US-Mexico border. This is a project by Stefan Falke. And this is tomorrow at 10 a.m. after that show. And then I have my call-in radio show from noon to 2 on WBAI 99.5 FM. Please join us for that. Dr. Anthony Harris, Chief Info Officer and Associate Medical Director of Work Care, will be here from 12 to 1. And from 1 to 2 p.m., we'll have Maria Lizardo, who's Executive Director of NMIC NYC, that does so much amazing work in the realm of equality and diversity. And so that's from noon to 1 on 99.5 FM WBAI and worldwide on WBAI.org. And that's just Saturday. We have multiple shows on Sunday as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. So we'll start with Dave, go to Rosa, and then Gabby, and then Kiara. So go ahead, Dave, your final thoughts.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me. First of all, this was really awesome and really a great opportunity to meet with like-minded people. I think we accomplished a lot. Any other last-minute thoughts? Yeah, I just want to speak about Latinx culture one more time and explain, just exactly how important it is to really link through community, link through numbers, community. It's important that we all reach out to one another and talk about these things. I think it's the only way to spread awareness. And that's really the goal of what we were doing here, is just to spread awareness. And you did a great job, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, David Ortiz, personal tailor and fashion designer. I almost did it again, Dave. I'm so sorry. And you can find him on Insta, OR_TIZ. I'm already following him, Dave. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. Hope you'll come back in the future and keep us posted on all the cool work you're doing. Thank you. And Rosa, over to you.
And you forgot to say he has a resemblance to Pat Mahomes. Right? Does anybody, do you guys agree?
I agree.
Get that. You probably get that, right, David?
Yeah, my name.
It's the hair too, right?
It's one day for me.
And the hair. I wanted to say thank you for inviting me, for having me. I had a lot of fun. I think this is great. I wish more people had this conversation more often. And, to my Latinx women and men, just continue to believe in yourself and continue to show up as you are, and just, keep moving forward no matter what, no matter how hard it gets. So thank you all for having me, and hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you, Rosa. Remind us of your Insta so that people can follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at she_who_rises on Instagram. So thank you.
And thank you very much, Rosa. Really appreciate you. Let's go to Gabby. I'm sorry, Gabby is not able to hear me. I'm so sorry about that. But go ahead, Kiara.
Yeah, my audio it's doing a thing. Yeah, sorry. Oh, you can go.
Go ahead.
Oh, me? Sorry.
Go ahead, Kiara. And then Gabby.
It wasn't sure because anyway. So final thoughts. I guess I would say, and as bad as this sounds, I guess I'm glad that people who are still very successful feel some sort of imposter syndrome, because at the end of the day, that just means that you're challenging yourself. You're going outside of your comfort zone. You're doing something that, you're not used to doing. That's good. That means you're trying something new and doing something that, putting yourself out there. And I think we should all, while it's not the best feeling in the world, it's a uncomfortable kind of good feeling once you actually achieve it. So that's great that, you'll continue to feel that and overcome it again and again and again. Another point I want to end on is sort of stress the importance of solidarity and sort of intersection within the Latinx community. So I am Black, but I'm Hispanic. So that intersection is very important to me, and I hold that, near and dear to my heart. So, just realizing solidarity between all groups and the intersection of all of our identities. And I want to thank you both for joining. It was a great conversation. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Let's see if we can get Gabby on. Gabby?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my final thoughts, essentially, thank you guys for coming out, honestly. It was a really important conversation, and I'm glad we were able to, really speak upon a lot of these important things, just because I feel like, again, it's not really touched upon in the way that it should be. Similar to what Kiara mentioned about intersection, like same thing in being like Black and also being like Hispanic. I feel like amongst like Latinos, we need to be able to really understand like the concept of race and like, ethnicity and like nationality, because I think sometimes the definitions often get maybe like blurred together, and a lot of the times it's difficult to really understand our identity and how we present amongst each other and to other people as well. So I just think, again, that's also like, another important thing that should be touched upon. But I mean, yeah, like overall, happy Hispanic Heritage Month and all good things. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Gabby, and thank you. We normally do a debrief after, but I'm going to ask our two guests what they thought of my students today.
They did really great. Thank you guys. You had really great questions. Kiara, you did amazing, and Gabby, you did amazing too. So thank you for doing this.
The segues were really smooth. Everything was really good. Great hosts.
That's awesome. So glad to hear that. And thank you very much, everybody. We'll please tune in tomorrow morning. We have a very special show as we talk about women of color leading the way with Bonita Stewart, the senior most African-American woman at Google, and Jacqueline Adams, Emmy award-winning former CBS News correspondent, will be on at 9 a.m. Eastern on all of these channels. And a big thank you once again to our guests. And we'll say goodnight to you all. And thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.